7 o'clock. I'll go ahead and call to order the June 20th, 2023 Pendleton Board of Zoning Appeals. So the oath of office before we'll do that first.
Yeah,
Okay.
that way we do. It doesn't matter, I guess, since he won't be probably voting in on the meeting minutes, but either way, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can go ahead and do the oath of office.
Okay.
Do you have
All
that?
right.
Tara?
Yep, I have that here, and so, Rob, if you could just repeat after me, Jeff Graham is online, he will confirm that it was stated out in public, and then we will follow up with your personalized oath of office form, and then you can have that notarized at your convenience. So I, Rob Williams,
I, Rob Williams,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
as well as the ordinances of Madison County and the town of Pendleton,
as well as the ordinances of Madison County and the town of Pendleton,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and diligently discharge
and diligently discharge
the duties of the Board of Zoning Appeals
the duties of the Board of Zoning Appeals
of the town of Pendleton
of the town of Pendleton
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my abilities.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and do a roll call, starting to my left.
Elon Zafar,
Kyle Icorn,
Jenny Sisson,
Rob Williams.
and online.
James King's here.
Okay, we have a quorum. On the drive, please review the minutes and I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion, do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye, online.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Old business signatures on updated rules, so we can do that
Yes,
at the end of the
you
meeting.
can do that, sign at the end of the meeting, and
Okay.
then James King, if you could, stop by the town hall, we'll obtain your signature. And then we will also get Jerry Burmeister's, he's gonna be coming in tomorrow. So we'll get his signature tomorrow.
Okay,
Will do.
on
Thank
to
you.
new business then. V 06-2023-01 variance from development standards request to allow for an accessory dwelling unit on a property with a non-owner occupied primary residence, 112 West Water Street. Brian DeShawn.
Try to do my best to get through this as quickly as possible. Mr. DeShong has a very special program coming up here. It started at 7 o'clock for his daughter for a special award in Anderson. So we'll get through this and give you all the facts here as fast as I can. Brian DeShong is here. He is present here. He is the petitioner. He did petition for a variance in development standards for 112 West Water Street. As far as additional images, documentation supporting that he's got a full, complete petition and filing, those are all in your Google Drives for review. As far as the current use and site details that we wanted to provide for you, this particular site, this parcel is zoned residential core conservancy. It's our RC zoning district. It's the area that kind of outlines the downtown area. It's kind of the core residential of the Pendleton area. And it's an area that is intended to protect the established character in core residential areas for those infill development. And as far as what is comprised on this particular property, there is 4 separate parcels. Each of those, there's 2 to the north and 2 to the south of this property. They are all adjacent to each other for the most part. They total about 1.66 acres. And the subject parcel that is involved with this variance is 0.8 acres. So you'll see that it's outlined there in dashed outline, and it is the largest property of the 4. The 2 to the north are Park and Recreation. The one to the west, you'll see that is divided between an easement that is owned by the state of Indiana, and also the gas company owns it, and the owner is in process of establishing those easements and deeds to those parcels. But this particular property, for very many years, it was used for land use as manufactured home park. This use was discontinued when the DeShongs took ownership. That was in about 2021, 2022. All mobile home structures have now been removed. They've been, I think, removed as of last fall. So they are no longer there. There were about 7 mobile homes there over the years, and then 1 single family home. So now what is existing on this 0.8 acres is a single family residential home. It is being utilized by or for long-term rental. It is 876 square feet. And then to the southeast of that, so that back end of that property to the rear side yard, there is a 480 square foot detached accessory structure. It was utilized as a garage for many years, and now it is currently being used for storage. The home was built in 1946, and then in 1960 is when that garage was built. So for permitted land uses in the RC zoning district, there's several permitted by right uses. So those include single family, multifamily, 2-family dwelling, as well as accessory dwelling. Residential home for the disabled, as well as owner occupied short-term rental, home occupation, place of worship, and also public park. So those are the permitted uses intended for RC zoning. As you'll see that the way that the special nature of RC zoning, there is a variety of residential uses that are allowed. And that complements the areas within that area surrounding our downtown, which is a mixture of multifamily, 2-family, and single family. So this is a little bit of a unique zoning district. And I believe this is the first time that we've had accessory dwelling unit that's come before our board. So we'll get kind of more in the meat of the petition here in a second. But the other part, as far as the site details, it does have public utilities, including the town of Pendleton Water and Electric, as well as Fall Creek Regional Waste District. You'll see in that little blue area, that's kind of a lift station there for Fall Creek Regional Waste for their sewer service. And in speaking to the petitioner before the meeting, also the primary structure there, the single family home, it also has natural gas through CenterPoint. So, as far as for the petition that is before you tonight for consideration, wanted to just kind of give a little bit of the purpose of accessory dwelling units, why they have been created, why they're established and encouraged and supported statewide, and then just kind of the concept of an ADU. So what is intended for is for the primary structure is usually a owner occupied resident. And then there is a detached or an attached structure that is also on the property that is lawfully built, meets all building standards to be able to house for any type of tenant, a variety of tenants. So that can be for a family member, it could be for a community member, a student, it could be someone that is coming in for work needs and so forth. So that is kind of the purpose for accessory dwelling units. They are encouraged statewide, and that's why the Planning Commission included this feature in on our UDO that was approved about 1.5 years ago. But some of those purposes is to maximize public infrastructure investment for the owner, to provide more housing options for family, students, disabled, caregivers, the workforce needs there. And there's several different benefits, but some of the benefits for ADUs is that it provides affordable housing that has become difficult in recent years. It provides a revenue stream generation to the owner of the property, and then also added security to the property by allowing that second dwelling on that property. I've provided in your Google Drive a breakdown of all the specifics of the ADU standards and requirements that we compared with as we reviewed this petition. All of those standards are met, except for three, in which the variance kind of encompasses three variances that the petitioner is asking for your consideration. The first is an accessory dwelling unit. They're asking to be able to allow it to be on a property with a non-owner occupied primary residence. So currently they have a long-term rental agreement with tenants. It's a young family that lives in the primary single-family home. That is 876 square feet. And then the garage itself is pretty much vacant, being used as storage there. But they are asking to be able to convert that detached garage or accessory structure into a dwelling to be able to then turn that into a living space for them to be able to also lease that out long-term to another tenant. The second variance request, and one thing too I wanted to bring to your attention, an ADU is permitted by right in the RC district. However, it's contingent upon that the primary structure is occupied by a owner. Then the second variance is that they're asking to be able to retain the square footage of that accessory structure footprint, which that is 480 square feet. The UDO, the limit for square footage for an ADU is it's either a maximum of 800 square feet, which the 480 is well under that, but capped at 50% of the primary structure square feet. So that being said, the difference is that it would be about 5% over that 50% max if they maintained the structure and the footprint of what is existing there for that structure. So they're just a little bit over 43 square feet total of what they go above that. And then the third variance that if this is approved that they're requesting is to be able to access the property off the alley. The ADU standards require, ask that it utilizes the existing driveway of the primary residence to access their property. So if you kind of look here, let's see if this right here. It's the pictures aren't, if you can scroll down just a little bit, yes. So you'll see here on this side backyard is where this garage sits here. Long here is gravel, and you'll see it's the same gravel here that comes off and feeds this main driveway into the property. It's the inner driveway that leads to and led into where all those other mobile homes used to sit. But this here is the parking space for the home here, which is the primary residence. And then over here is where that garage sits, and they are proposing for them to be able to park here off of the alley. Now, we just wanted to bring it to your attention because this is the primary drive for the property, which this feeds off, and then this also feeds to the south to reach to this area here as well, runs parallel with the alley, but it would sit adjacent right up and be abutted up to that alley. That is already existing. There's gravel there, but you'll see where a lot of the grass is kind of filled in that gravel area. So that is what their preference is, to be able to have separate parking areas there. But those are the three variances. They have expressed that they intend and will commit to creating a separation between the two living dwellings with a 6-foot privacy fence. Unfortunately, our zoning map has not been updated to show that there is a deck here off to the back south end of the property, but you'll see it right over here, and they would complement that fence to look the same, which is a part of the ADU's requirements for the exterior to complement the primary structure there. But, as far as, you want to go to the next page, the petitioner has agreed to commitments, And beforehand, I do want to let you know that we did receive a letter. It is in your Google Drive. It was from 233 North Pendleton Avenue. It's a resident, Monte and Joyce Alm. And they had expressed in their letter that they weren't particularly an objection to an ADU, but they had some concerns that could follow that they wanted you all to be aware of. So those concerns were that they were concerned with the number of units, the amount of transit individuals, people coming in and off the property, noise level, loss of privacy, as well as lack of maintenance. They do have I believe it might be an in-ground pool that is in their backyard. They are probably the most farthest to the north property from that single family home and so forth. But they have concerns and we want to bring that to your attention as well. We feel that the petitioner has done a good job in being willing to give commitments to cure a lot of that concern there. Probably the first one, I'll kind of start at the bottom. They will have agreed to limit it to long-term rental only. Short-term rental is 30 days and under. Long-term is 30 and above, or is 30 and above, but they're committed to a lease. So it would be more like an annual 12-month lease that they would make sure that their renters were committed to. And this particular, with the square footage being smaller, they're going to limit to 1 to 2 tenants. It would not in-house a family or multiple individuals in that unit. They've also agreed that the roof, they're going to be replacing it. They're going to add exterior textures that are going to mirror the architectural style, form, materials, and colors of the primary residence. Like I said earlier, they're going to define those living spaces by dividing kind of that yard with a 6-foot privacy fence, about 4 feet off to the north, 6 feet to the east to give some privacy at their door entrance. And then also putting in new sidewalks for both of the existing home and then the ADU, if that is approved. They agreed to limit to just the one accessory dwelling unit and that they would maintain the footprint of that existing structure. They are not going to add up or out or around that structure. And they would provide a lawfully built dwelling that meets building codes. They would be offering an open kitchen, living space, bedroom with closet, fully enclosed bathroom, and a frame utility closet for the washer and dryer unit. So those are the commitments. We have some other facts, analysis that we bring to your attention. But if at this point, if you have any questions for myself or petitioner, then, I'm more than happy to answer any question. And so with Mr. DeShawn.
Okay, any questions for staff?
I got a question, James.
Yes, I hear you, James.
Okay, you said that there was a neighbor that expressed some concern but wasn't against this. And I'm not sure if the current tenants of the main residence have a vote, but have they been consulted at all? I know it would be kind of a touchy situation for them to register disapproval as a renter, but just curious.
What was it about the vote? I didn't catch that.
I'm just wondering if the tenants that live there now are aware that what we're trying.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. They are fully aware of, yes, good question. They are fully aware of the petition. I was out taking pictures and so, yes, they are fully aware of this petition and that the intentions of the owner to create a dwelling unit there. Yes.
And then second question is the ordinance was originally made to limit renting out the accessory dwelling unit only if the main residence was owner occupied. What was the reason for the original rule in the original ordinance that it should be owner occupied and not tenant occupied? And I'd be curious to hear that.
Yeah.
James, I can kind of speak to that. The UDO added a lot of new things that the town hadn't really experienced or dealt with before. So it was kind of just a dipping our toes in, if you will. We've updated the UDO many times. And one of those was to actually allow these accessory dwelling units by right in a few more zones than what was originally written. So if we find that, you know, renter primary dwelling and then renter accessory dwelling is working, we can always update the UDO to reflect in certain zones or in all zones that it's okay to have, you know, renter and renter as opposed to owner and renter. But I think initially the way it was written and why it was written that way was because we just kind of wanted to proceed with caution. And we can always update if we find that it's working or not working.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's really looking at the two variances, one of which James already has addressed, and the other is the driveway, which originally, if this was a garage, I would imagine the garage door was there, and that would have had pull-in, it's as well.
Yes.
So it's also just
Mhm.
It's an
filled with
existing-
grass.
Yes.
I
Yes,
I walked out
grass
there,
has
but
kind
I
of taken
don't
over,
look.
yes. There
Um,
is a sliding door now that had replaced the garage door.
So that was originally the driveway.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so asking to use the alley, I don't,
Oh,
From
to
the-
yeah, not to use the alley, to access the property from the alley instead of having to have going into the drive into the property and coming off that front property and parking in the front.
Because the UDO
Yes.
says you're supposed to use the primary driveway. And technically, the primary driveway,
okay. So would this renter be asked to exclusively then use the alleyway?
I don't think, I mean,
Because
they
I
could
can't see-
access and drive up that gravel and pull
Correct.
up in there. It's just, that's where we kind of, just that it was to where the drive was supposed to be a part of or shared drive from the primary, but yet a separate allotment to where they did have a designated area, but a part of that drive to where.
I just feel like we need to be clear because I don't want to approve use of driveway.
Yes.
When they legally can use the driveway. So I just want to make sure our wording
Okay. Yeah, most,
reflects that.
I think the reason why they have that in that provision in the UDO is to eliminate another additional cut off on the road. And this
Okay.
is kind of a unique property to where it already had access off the alley, that structure did.
I think we
and
need
then-
to add that,
Mhm.
like the
Okay.
unique piece of how
Mhm.
this was,
pre-existing.
yeah,
I agree.
pre-existing.
Yeah.
Because I don't
agree.
want 10 years from now, someone to look back as a precedent and be wrong about any decisions.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%. Yeah.
I really don't have any other questions.
Yeah.
It's the two.
Does the
To anyone else?
Yeah, petitioner or anybody from the public want to speak? Is there anybody online?
Well, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So it says in the application, you're gonna rent to high-end renters that pass background checks. What else is in the high-end renter description?
Fine.
Yeah. Well, you wrote high-end renter, so it just caught my attention. How do you describe that?
I mean, it's just, I guess our intention is just to say that we're gonna vet people as best, how, so that the commitment lasts and it's not gonna become what it was when we took possession of the property.
And what's the minimum lease that you would sign for?
12.
12 months?
Yeah.
Anybody else wish to speak? Okay. All right, I guess we will move on to reviewing the consideration here. So we have those 5 bullet points. Not injurious to public health, safety, morals. So the code allows an owner occupied to have an accessory rental. I don't see a long-term tenant in that primary structure is really no different than
Yeah, I agree. And I think we would be getting into splitting hairs in the future because people who are owner occupied that have an accessory dwelling unit that choose to buy something else, but keep their previous structure, we're gonna get into those situations as well.
Yeah.
I don't think we should split the hair.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think the 3 variances would be injurious to public health safety. The use and value of adjacent areas not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. So, their structure is already there. It's going to be improved to match, So I feel like that is covered. So any discussion on that? Strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in use of the property. So we kind of discussed how this is a unique case. It's got the existing home and garage there. And so I think it makes sense with to have a non-owner occupied dwelling unit. The variance granted is the minimum necessary. Obviously, they're going to not expand the existing structure. They're going to use the existing access. Like that sounds like the minimum necessary. And the variance granted does not correct a hardship caused by a former or current owner. And I don't think that applies. It's not being used as a accessory dwelling unit now or previously. So, so to review the 3 variances that are requested, the non-owner occupied ADU, 55% footprint compared to the 50% allowed, and then access off of the alley. So I'll open it up to further board discussion, and if there is none, I will entertain a motion to approve V06-2023-01 with the 3 variances requested and also incorporate the 5 commitments of the petitioner.
I make a motion to approve V06-2023-01 as described by Kyle.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
James King votes aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Do we need to do roll call?
Yeah.
Oh, we do. Okay. All right. On the motion and second, I'll do a roll call vote if you want to.
Jamila Zafar,
Yes.
James King,
Yes.
Kyle Icorn,
Yes.
Jenny Sisson,
Yes.
and Rob Wood.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. And no other new business? All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much.